Hello there, my name is Michael, and in this episode of this Scrapy Tutorial Series, we will see how we can use proxies in our spiders. So yeah, with that said, let's get straight into the video. Now, when web scraping with Scrapy, proxies are a must. Without them, websites can detect too many requests coming from the same IP address, and they will block you. That's why using a good proxy provider like Node Maven, which is the sponsor of this video, is key, and they offer over 95% clean proxies, helping you avoid detection. Now, the only reason I recommend Node Maven is because I use it for my own projects and for my client projects, and I only be using Node Maven for months now, and that's why I partner with them. It's the only proxy provider I trust and I suggest for everyone. Plus, they let you choose between residential and mobile proxies and even specify details like your country for more precise scrapping. Start using reliable proxies by using the link down in the description, and when you go on your checkout, make sure you click apply coupon here and type Michael to get 2 extra gigabytes at checkout. Okay, so after you sign up using my link down in the description and use my checkout code to get some extra benefits, let's see how we can set up our proxy. So first of all, we will go to proxy setup. Now, what you can do is go to users, create a new user, and then use whatever username and password you want. And a cool feature here is that you can limit traffic. So whenever you are testing, I would suggest put like a 1 GB limit, just in case you don't mess up anything and you spend all your bandwidth for no reason. So I would always use some traffic limit, just in case. So once you create your user, click here to generate proxy. First of all, we can choose between residential and mobile. I use residential. Then we can choose the IP version, unless you want to use IPv4 only for a specific use case. Then we can specify the country we want, so let's say United States. We can also specify the region, city, and ISP. I'll leave it to random for now. And let's choose rotating. Sticky basically means that this proxy that you will use will be sticky for as long as possible. Of course, since it's residential proxies, that means you are basically using someone's internet. So if they deactivate the internet, of course, the proxy will no longer work. But sticky proxies are good, usually if you want to log into an account, so you can use a proxy per account that you use. But in our case, we can use rotating. This will be just for testing. And yeah, you can also choose between protocol, HTTP or SOCKS, and also filter mode. I would always use quality, unless you want to use too much proxies. If you want to rotate through a lot of proxies, then I guess choose between speed, max pool size. Usually quality is what you want. So yeah, you can click here to protocol, copy one. They are all the same. As long as you use the rotating proxy, they will be all the same. Just copy one. And yeah, let's go on our code now. And to test our proxy, let's create a new spider. Create a new one, call it proxy.py. And now let's do the usual, let's import Scrapy. And from our last one, as you saw, we had some items. Let's create the same now, but for our proxy spider. Now for this tutorial, I will only visit this link right here. So we can basically test our proxies. Now this link, I think I have my VPN on. Okay, I don't want to dox my IP, but don't worry, this is VPN. So as you'll see, this link right here gives you some information about your IP. Now we want our spider to visit that link and get our IP information. And since we are using a random IP, each time we use our spider, we should get different information. Then let's go on our items. And let's define a proxy item. And as you will see, we have those fields right here. So let me copy this, paste it here. And then the autocomplete should fill them up. Perfect. So what we will be doing basically is scraping this link and saving the data locally, just so we can see if the proxy actually works. So now let's also create a default item loader, like so. Perfect. And then let's import them here. So from tutorial.items, we'll import proxy item and then proxy item loader. Then, as we did with codes, we'll create a spider. We'll define a class, proxy spider, and give it a name. So let's say name equals proxy. And then for start URL, we will of course use this one right here. Okay, now let's define the start request like we did in quotes. So start requests. Then here we will define the proxy, because we want every time we start a request to start it with a proxy. And then we will say yield scrapy.request. We'll of course define the URL here, so self.start URLs, and of course the first one. Then of course we will pass the callback here, self.parse, exactly like we did here. But then we have an option here called meta, and meta has a parameter called proxy, so we will pass the proxy here. Now the format you should pass the proxy is with the following, with the protocol. So it has to be protocol, username, password, @host, port, like so. So I'll always use this format for the proxy in order for it to work. And then here we'll say define parse, we'll get the data. So we'll basically say JSON that loads, since this is a JSON request. Now this is basically text, but we will turn it to JSON using JSON.load. So we'll do it like that. Let's import JSON as well here. And of course we will pass here the response.text. Then we will use our loader, like so. And then we want to add every single value that we get from that JSON, like so. So data.getIP, city, all the parameters it has available here. And of course we will return the item. So let's test it. Now obviously my IP is in Athens, in Greece. But since we are using the United States proxy, when we save the data, it should show United States. Okay, so now let's open terminal, go to tutorial folder, and say scrapy crawl proxy. By the way, don't forget from our last video, on our settings here, we have to comment out the pipelines. So make sure you comment out the pipelines since we are no longer using them. Because they are default, they will be running for every single spider. Right? Scrapy crawl proxy, and then we'll do -o so we can save the results to test.json. So what we'll do now is visit that URL with our proxy and save the JSON result. And there we go. And as you'll see, now our test.json, we get this result. As you see, it did work successfully. We got a random IP from United States, and yeah. So yeah, that's how we use proxies in Scrapy. It's very simple. Basically, all you have to do, as you saw here, is in the scrapy.request, provide this parameter meta, and then proxy inside the meta object, and after that, it will be basically using that proxy. Now, if I run it again, as you'll see the next time, it will use a different proxy, since I'm using a rotating proxy. So if you want on every request to rotate that proxy, just use a rotating proxy. And there we go. As you'll see, this time the IP is different, or of course it will be still from United States. we can change the country from the proxy, either from here and then copy it again, or you can also define it straight on here as well. You just provide the country code here. You can do USA, GR, whatever 2-letter code you want to use. So yeah, if you found this video helpful, I'll really appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my other feature episodes. Also suggest in the comments what would you like to see next.